Hi, this is going to be a teardown video for this KitchenAid hand mixer. Model number is KHM512, and then with a color code, this is Aqua something or other. I've already had this apart once. I put it back together, and I'm going to have it apart again in a few minutes. My particular problem with this machine is that this variable control, it is attached, it is functional, but I have to press at certain angles to make whatever connection is inside there, make it connect. I can kind of get it to work, but I kind of push the switch over to the side, and it's basically kind of a pain. So I was hoping I could take it apart, find some dirt or grime or I don't know, clean that out, and then it would work better. Instead, I opened it up, found a slightly different problem, did the cleaning, put it back together, didn't really improve the situation. So that's kind of a bummer for me. And I'll probably end up buying another one. But for today, we'll just tear this guy down. I'll show you basically the two tricks that were not obvious to me when I started. And it's not that hard. Of course, it's not that hard to take it apart. There are no visible screws when you get started. So, and you can start either, I learned sort of through the process, you can either start from the top going down, you start from the bottom going up, depending on what you're trying to, what part of the machine you're trying to access. I'm going to start today from the bottom and take it apart from here, and we'll take off the top part a bit later. So tool-wise, you don't need much. Phillips screwdriver. Kind of a longish one is good because it's one of the screws are kind of recessed. And then I'm going to use a pocket knife. You really need anything thin, thinner than a steak knife really, but it doesn't need to be sharp. Just a pry tool that's fairly strong, fairly thin. If you use a knife like this one, you have to be a little careful not to cut the plastic as you're going, by accident kind of scar it up. I'll be careful but if you had a non-sharp, strong metal pry tool, that would be better than this. That's what I'll use though. So basically, two ways to go into the machine: from the bottom, from the top. If you want to start from the bottom, you start with this circular piece. It comes out first. What you want to do is get a thin pry tool into this narrow crack here. I started from this side. I think that's the side that you really want to start from. And basically just wiggle it in and then wiggle it free. Let's see if I can do this without making a mess of it again. There we go. So you kind of just push that in and maybe come at it from a slightly different angle. And there we go. When it pops out, there is a clip there, and there's another non-clip straight piece there. And after that, it kind of just wiggles free. That's it. I didn't have to hit the clip specifically. I think actually I was to the side of it, and that was probably just as good. But then that just comes out. And see, it didn't break anything. From there, there's two more screws, not the two visible ones here, but actually recessed in those cavities. So those are Phillips. They're quite lengthy screws, so it takes a second to get them out. Takes a second. Let's see if I got one. Got one. There we go. There's two. That's two screws to get started. And now from there, we should just be able to wiggle this guy free. You might need your pry tool again. Again, not wanting to cut the plastic. Oh, I remember the trick here. You push towards this vent area here, push it a little bit, and pry from this side. There we go. So really just got to hit the clips from the right angle. There we go. And then this whole thing kind of just works free. It's got a few clips on it. Not hard to get to. There we go. And then that comes loose. And now you can see the motor and some other bits and pieces. Next step is to remove these three screws. They're slightly shorter, I think, than these other guys. Then this whole piece will start to come out. I'm not going to disconnect the wires. I guess you could probably unclip that stuff a bit. I'm not gonna do that. Don't need to for my purposes today. So I just basically undo these 3 Phillips screws. This thing's magnetic, and that caught me before. Later we'll get to see a spring in there, quite a hefty spring for the ejector mechanism. And I kind of lost it briefly on my desk, couldn't find it, and it was in fact stuck to the magnetic motor component. So I hadn't lost it, it was right there, just stuck to the motor. This guy there. So those 3 screws will let you remove and move to the side the motor piece. This comes out just freely. Now from there, the next components that you can see first is that spring I was mentioning that just pops out, goes onto that side when you want to reassemble. And then there's this board here which has the controls mechanisms, and that's where I was having my particular problem. Now it doesn't come out because it is being held in place on the top side. So I'm going to shift the whole thing over, leaving it loose like that, and I'm going to work on the top side now. The biggest surprise is that this button here feels quite firmly attached, but actually it just comes off. And the first time I did it, it took quite a bit of force. And when you go to reassemble it, you can push it back down and it will stick on pretty good. But the first time it did take quite a bit of force. My thin pry tool, again, just to pop it up from the bottom. Try hard not to scar up your machine. But eventually it just sort of pops off. And then you can see that the actual switch is very narrow and it fits through that little groove later. So once you got the button cover out of the way, then you want to remove this whole piece here. And again, it just pops off. I started at the back, I think, last time, the bottom sort of area. Same thing, you sort of pry it. There are some clips that you want to try to work free. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. So just kind of, had it, and then it popped back in. There we go. So pushing from the back there, and then carefully wiggling it free. And then that switch there is going to slide through the cover. If you have it pushed too far forward, you'll have to slide it back to get it into the right spot. And then this whole plastic piece comes right off. And now you can see the top part. Now this switch here has the metal switch part and then sort of a plastic bracket. Plastic bracket is seated on these 4 posts here. And then it's just sort of seated onto another little knob inside there. Oh yeah, the ejector thingy at this point is kind of loose, and that's fine. If you want to reassemble it, would pop into the right spot. It doesn't come out or in or out at this point, I don't think. There's not enough space yet. So the next step is to remove this button. You can just pop it off the 4 posts. It's just sitting on there. And then it just slides off the knob that's inside here. And then from there, maybe this still doesn't. Oh yeah, it can come at the bottom. And in fact, the whole board comes with it. So that's it. That's the whole assembly as far as I need it to go. This is now just a plastic shell. There's the board piece with the swivel that the variable speed controller is mounted to. My particular problem is some problem with the connections. It does look pretty clean right now. I cleaned it up yesterday. Still not working so hot. But a problem I'm having as well is that there are sort of these holes here, which I think are supposed to be detents for the controller to hit certain markings, but it's not working on my machine. It looks to me like there's a piece missing. I guess a bowl, sort of piece of metal missing that would fit into those little spots, and then feel like a clicking motion as you went through the range, but not working for me. And it's a very loose connection right now. As I say, I'm gonna have to probably replace something, whether it's this piece here or probably just the whole machine, and keep the rest of it maybe for parts. Anyway, that's the whole disassembly. You can tell there really wasn't a lot of tricks to it. Just knowing where to start was helpful to do it, on the second or third attempt. Hope this helps somebody.